Welcome back to another step-by-step Monday makeup lesson. In each one of these videos we cover a new topic in this tutorial, but you can check out the full playlist by clicking up here or checking out the description box. And if you're new here, make sure to press subscribe. And now let's get started with the next step. So we've prepped and primed the skin, corrected it and applied our foundation, and now we're going to concentrate on concealing. So if you've missed the last few steps, I'd recommend catching up on them because you kind of need to know where we're going with this. So at this stage my skin looks pretty even, but it's not 100% where I want it to be. So underneath the eyes, I haven't really applied anything bar a little bit of corrector. So I really want to work underneath there to create a brighter appearance and give me the coverage that I want. So for that, I typically use a liquid concealer. A liquid concealer is better than using most foundations because they're a little bit heavier. Any cream concealers are usually quite heavy too. And this can create a really uneven base underneath the eyes. Look a little bit patchy, uneven, can usually make you look a lot older as well. So I find a little bit of a liquid concealer works best for me in particular. So what I tend to do is I just apply a very small amount of it just where I need it. And this is kind of the starting point. I can then kind of add some if I need to. And I use a little patting motion just to press the product underneath the eyes. And I'd recommend looking up, and this allows you to get right underneath those lashes and to create a smooth base. So for some people, this won't be enough coverage underneath the eyes. For me, it typically is, but if you want to add more coverage, go ahead and do that. So I did apply a little bit of corrector underneath my eyes, which definitely made a massive difference. But if you haven't done that and you just want to use concealer, you can always get a concealer with a built-in corrector. Now, when it comes to concealers underneath the eyes, a mistake that a lot of people make is to use a really light concealer. That's great if you want to highlight underneath the eyes, but if you have any discoloration underneath that, it creates a kind of a graying effect. So by the end of the day, your under eyes are gonna look kind of gray. So I'd recommend using a corrector first and then going in with your concealer if you want to use a very light one. They work really well together, but if you're not going to apply that corrector, you need to apply something that's very close to your own skin tone. Now, when it comes to blemishes, the funny thing is a slightly darker shade can work really well for covering up blemishes. So if you have any discoloration on your skin, typically you'll just grab your concealer and just apply it. But if it's a little too light, it can actually make it more obvious. So I'd actually recommend using a concealer that's maybe half a shade darker. Just apply it to that area, and then the little trick is to apply a bit more of your foundation over the top. Now, why do we do that? Because if I apply concealer on this area and it's a perfect concealer and it's going to really conceal it up, it's going to actually still be obvious. You have to make sure that it matches the rest of the face, and the best way to do that is to apply a bit of your foundation over the top. That way everything is really seamless. And you also don't want to go in with a big brush. It's better to use a slightly smaller brush to just pinpoint that particular area. So take a little lip brush and a bit of that concealer and just apply it directly where you need it. So once this concealer is applied, it looks kind of light, but it sets slightly darker. You guys can see it's pretty much invisible now, but I'm still going to take my foundation brush with a little tiny bit of the foundation kind of worked in the top of the bristles and just pat this over the top. Now I'm going to use a stippling motion because I don't want to disturb what we've already applied. And now all we have to do is to set it. And that's this step complete, but make sure to check back next Monday for the next step. But as always, I am here to help, so if you have any problems with this, leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. Before you go, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.